Hi, welcome again to Skills for Africa. My name is David Day, Managing Director of Rise Excel and Skills for Africa. You can see me here with the Minister for Information. Now, this program that you are about to go through, the slideshow, is the most important in anything that you will do. It's to do with creating a new you, creating a leader, a healthcare professional or a technical expert of the future. Okay, now, part 2 is that we can develop personal power. We say these are unopened birth gifts. This comes from Stephen Covey's The 8th Habit, and it's wonderful. Potentially it changes your life. And these are the 3 hardwired birth gifts. Mostly unopened because most people in the world don't know that they have these powers. Number 1, God has given us freedom and the power to choose. Not just big choices, but every single minute of the day we can choose to do right and wrong. We can choose success. We can choose the right way. And that power to choose is great. Secondly, principles. These are natural laws that when we obey them and implement them, we succeed. They're universal all over the world. They're timeless, from ancient times to the future. And they are self-evident, they are clear, and they can't be challenged. Now, it's going to be wonderful because you are going to develop your 4 intelligences: your mental intelligence, your physical intelligence, your emotional intelligence, and your spiritual intelligence. A journey in which, at the end of the day, you'll be so bright and clever and sharp. The freedom to choose involves a stimulus. You think, you see something, you react. You have freedom to choose. In the gap between what you see and your response, you can choose. So you choose your response to any situation. This is power. God has given this. The second area of personal power, principles and natural laws. They're all over the world, even in different cultures. They are timeless. They're from ancient. For example, the 10 Commandments. They go on forever and ever. They will never change. Self-evident is that they cannot be challenged. No one can challenge the fact that man's superior purpose in life is to help others. We should exist to support others. That's a self-evident principle, as one example. Okay. Now, intelligence. I love this area because personally I changed in terms of becoming more mentally intelligent, and I became more emotionally, spiritually and physically intelligent. When I had these 4 areas of intelligence improving, I moved to a higher level, higher capability, and you will too. IQ, mental intelligence, is the traditional area of intelligence, and we've emphasized that too much. Young people in school, they are judged by exams. Unnecessarily, there's too much focus, especially in places like Nigeria. It's exam, exam, exam. And those people that fall out of it because they have the other intelligences have a poor self-esteem because they don't realize that there are other intelligences. There are what we call multiple intelligences. So you need to develop your emotional intelligence critically. That is what you know about yourself. Your emotions, controlling your emotions, and how to help others, how to understand others. Your physical intelligence is important because in achieving, in nursing, leadership, business, you must have physical power, okay? And the knowledge of how to have that physical power is critical. Last of all, spiritual intelligence. We rely on that little voice within us. So let's develop those 4 intelligences. Okay? Now there are fundamentals moving on of personal growth, and that is promoting and using your intelligences. So we do some exercises and we have a new approach to make you more intelligent. You should review the work on getting your brain working. Okay? Now we call this acronym to help you improve your intelligence ICRIS. ICRS. I is for having an inquiring, discovering mode. That means that you have a passion for learning. for inquiring, for looking at information, not superficially but deeply. Because moving on, you use C for critical analysis. It means you don't accept the information on the surface only. You look at it deeply. You consider if it's reliable, if it's valid, if it's applicable to your life. Then, in your mind, you start to reflect. R for reflecting and applying what we call reflective practice. Reflective practice is used in business and nursing. It's used to help you consider what you've learned, to consider a situation, to consider, for example, times when you make a mistake, to reflect on them, and in your mind work out a better way of doing it, a new model. You can even model or rehearse in your mind what you're going to do. It's very, very powerful. Finally, we have S for synthesis. We can create ideas from ideas. Whatever you read, you can look at some of our work, our Skills for Africa approach, and from it you can create and synthesize or produce your own idea. Synthesis means production. You come up with a solution. So, practice ICRS, ICRIS, and you will be more intelligent. Just try it over the next few days. See what will happen to your mind. Now I'm moving on to emotional intelligence. This is new to Africa, but we want young Africans to be the most intelligent, including emotional intelligence. So I recommend, we have on our DVD on online, Daniel Goleman's book. You should read that. He's the expert on emotional intelligence, and it's a revolution. There are 4 components of emotional intelligence, so let's look at them. First of all, self-management and discipline, the ability to control or redirect disruptive impulses and moods. You can get in a bad mood, you can get angry, you can feel envious, you can feel let down. You have to regulate your own behavior, coupled with a propensity to pursue goals with energy and persistence. So you use your emotions to pursue those goals, but where they're disruptive, you can control them. Now, competencies mean they are things that you should achieve in order to reach the targets, and it's based upon largely behavior, not academics. So we always talk about, in Skills for Africa, competencies. Now, the 6 competencies connected with the first part of emotional intelligence are: number 1, self-control. 2, we should be trustworthy and have integrity. 3, we should use our initiative and be adaptable. 4 is that when there's confusion, when we don't have understanding, we should be at ease. This we call comfort with ambiguity. When people get upset because they can't see the way through, they can no longer perform. You have to know that ultimately and eventually you will understand what's going on. But in the meantime, have comfort. 5, openness to change. You should always be looking at ways of improving yourself, ways of improving how you adapt to others. And lastly, you should have a strong desire to achieve. Without that motivation, you can get nowhere. Okay, now moving on, emotional intelligence is about knowing yourself and others. Self-awareness, the ability to recognize and understand your moods, emotions and drives. Do you ever get up in the morning and sometimes don't feel like going to work, you don't feel happy, you don't feel like going to church? That's your mood, but you can control it. You also may be having emotions because of a relationship problem, but you can control those emotions. There are drives that you may or may not know about, and those drives have an effect on you. The more self-awareness you have, the more control you have. So there are 3 competencies. We must achieve self-confidence. We must achieve the ability to realistically assess ourselves. Okay? Many people, especially those who can't perform, have no idea who they are. You hear them talking about themselves and you think they don't have a clue. They really don't know themselves. Don't be like them. Be realistic in assessing yourself. Okay? Now, emotional self-awareness is to do with that aspect of understanding your emotions and your moods so that you can control them. Okay, now we move on to others. Emotional intelligence is very powerful because from the knowledge we get of ourselves and others, we can control our situations and relate to people in a positive way so that we achieve social awareness, the ability to understand the emotional makeup of other people and skill in treating people according to their emotional reactions. So there are 6 competencies. You should have empathy, the ability to understand the situation from the other person's perspective, to fit into their shoes. B, expertise in building and retaining talent. As a manager, as a leader, you'll develop others, you'll know talent, you'll recognize it. Thirdly, in the organization you're working, you'll understand how people communicate and what are the norms and values. You're aware of the organization and you adapt accordingly. You have cross-cultural sensitivity. If people come from a different culture, this is very important in the UK, you adapt, you're sensitive. Okay? You value diversity, which means that somebody has different values, a different way of life, a different culture, but you cherish that because God has made us all. Okay? You value diversity. It's very powerful. Now you use this social awareness, lastly, to provide excellent service to clients and customers. And we provide customer service training so that you can be at the very best. So this is about knowing yourself and others. Building upon that are social skills that make you very capable in managing relationships and building networks so that you get the desired result from others. You reach personal goals and you have the ability to find common ground and build rapport. When I was in the UK, we developed what's called rapportive education. It's training and education which bases itself on the relationships we have with our students. And if you focus on relationships and you focus on the people around you and you focus on your customers' needs, you will be so proficient. People will relate to you. And there are 5 competencies that you must develop in this area. You must develop leadership. You must be effective in leading change. Conflict management, where there is disputes, where there's arguments, you can simmer people down, you can calm nerves, you have conflict management skills. Most importantly, you can influence and communicate with people. Wherever you are effective in building and leading teams. Well, that's great. You've started the process of becoming a powerful person, developing your intellectual and emotional intelligence. And this will help create capability for your success. Great things are going to come. Okay, stay with us and go to part 3 of personal transformation. Thank you. Well done.